So, what does it really look like when a global community tries to systematically build a better world? It's not often we get a peek behind the curtain of an undertaking that massive. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break down a real-world blueprint for community building that's happening right now on a planetary scale.
So, where are we getting this from? Our source today is a recent letter from the Universal House of Justice, which is the International Governing Council of the Baha'i Faith. And you got to understand, this isn't some public press release. It's an internal letter written to its own leadership to check in on the progress of their current 9-year plan, which means we get this really rare, honest look at a global strategy as it's actually unfolding.
And right from the get-go, they are not pulling any punches about the size of this thing. I mean, they're calling it a most formidable task themselves. And that honesty, that's what makes their whole approach so fascinating. So how do you even begin to tackle something so massive?
All right, so to really get our heads around this, let's start with the big picture. What is this plan even trying to do?
At its heart, the 9-year plan is a decentralized strategy. The whole idea is to build up these vibrant local communities all over the world, not just for themselves, but to build up their ability to contribute to the rest of society. It's kind of like grassroots development, but with this unified global vision guiding everything.
Okay, so how does a plan like this actually work on the ground? Well, first, we kind of have to learn the language. It's a lot like trying to understand a new board game, right? You need to know what the pieces are called before you can really get the strategy.
Okay, so the first piece on the board, and this one's fundamental, is the cluster. A cluster is just the basic unit of action. It's a manageable geographic area. Think of a city and its suburbs, or maybe a bunch of rural villages. This is the local level where all the real work happens.
All right, next up, milestones. And this is a really key idea here. Milestones aren't just about hitting some random numbers. They mark a stage in a community's development. They're a measure of its growing ability to keep itself going and to take real, meaningful social action. So the focus is on, the maturity of the community, not just metrics.
And to give you a sense of scale, the launch of this plan was just massive. The letter reveals it kicked off with over 10,000 gatherings all around the world. Just think about that, over 10,000 gatherings. That one number tells you so much about the coordination and the energy that was mobilized, right from day one.
Okay, so clusters are the playing field and milestones are the markers of progress. But what does success actually look like? What's the goal? Well, the plan is pretty clear about that. It's about reaching what they call the third milestone. So let's zoom in and see what that's all about.
So a community that's hit this stage, it looks different. It's got a growing pool of people getting involved. It's really good at learning from what it does. These cycles of action and reflection, it can handle more and more people. But the real game changer here, it becomes self-sustaining. It even starts helping out its neighbors, sharing resources and what it's learned.
And the most crucial point is who is in the driver's seat. This is not about some headquarters sending down orders. At this advanced stage, the community itself is steering its own path, using its own creativity to apply the big ideas to its own local reality. I mean, that's what real grassroots empowerment looks like.
And as these communities get stronger, something really cool happens. Their focus starts to expand outward. They start creating their own social action projects, maybe small at first, but they last. We're talking about things that address real needs in their area, whether it's tutoring for kids, public health programs, or improving local farming. The internal growth is what fuels the external contribution.
So we've got the building blocks, we've got the goal. But what's the actual engine that powers all this? What moves a community from one stage to the next? It's not a rigid set of rules. It's something way more dynamic.
This quote from the letter really gets to the heart of it. The people guiding this plan are super clear about this. It is not a mechanical, paint-by-numbers formula. They see it as an organic process, something that has to live and breathe and adapt to wherever it's taking root. So if it's not a formula, then what is it? Well, they have a name for it. They call the core engine an ecosystem of learning. And that is the real engine behind the whole thing. Progress comes from this constant process of learning, adapting, and then sharing that knowledge.
And this learning, it flows everywhere. It's not just top-down. So it starts at the grassroots, with people just trying new things. Then the lessons they learn get discussed locally. The best ideas, they get shared with neighboring clusters. And all the while, you've got institutions looking at the big picture, seeing the patterns, and feeding that wisdom back into the whole system. It's this amazing constant feedback loop.
Okay, so this global system is fascinating, right? But it's not just about systems and processes. It all builds towards something.
What's the impact on the actual person going through all this?
And the letter is really clear about this. This entire huge framework is designed from the ground up to have a profound, transformative impact on the individual. The whole system is just a means to a very human end.
And you can see the connection so clearly right here. That big, coordinated strategy, for the individual, that translates into finding a life of purpose and meaning. That whole learning process we talked about, the goal is for learning to become a habit of mind for people. And all that community building, that's about empowering people to work together, to actually transform society.
And really, this is what it's all about. Through this process, people find a sense of belonging and a shared purpose. The letter wraps up with this beautiful, powerful image of what this all leads to. That together, in the company of others, they are building havens of peace in what we all know is a pretty turbulent world.
So that leaves us with this final thought. We've just seen how a global community is trying to design its own growth, not around a strict set of rules, but around this idea of learning. A living, breathing ecosystem of learning. And it makes you wonder, right? What happens when you do that? And maybe more importantly, what can we all learn from an approach like this?